maybe not talk shit, don't get hit. I don't know. It's a weird mentality to have on the internet.
Furry Wonderland, Volume 1. I'm going to be transparent with all of you. This begins with a little comment on one of my videos' responsibility, Carol the Wolf. It is as follows.
It's hard to take anything you produce seriously now after Metokur completely called you out for being a liar and a coward.
Now, typically I get two kinds of people who bitch on my Carol the Wolf videos. Don't worry, there is a payoff to this video. In all of this, there's something a bit juicier, so please be patient. The first of those two people who show up to complain is Jim's SS, his sweetie squad. Basically, his fans show up, bust my balls, I explain I'm sorry for the crap that happened during the Tism video, aka the Hugbox Diaries 7, and after breaking my balls for a bit, sometimes I earn a sub, sometimes they just say they're there for a lol. I try for the most part to not take it personal, and this is good advice, by the way, for all of you. You should use it for yourself when you have a situation somewhat similar. If you're a content creator on YouTube and have any level of success, that will just inevitably happen, and then things progress from there. Then there's the far more insufferable people who show up to bitch on the Carol the Wolf videos. Carol's fans. Jim's fans want to give me a hard time because, let's be honest, that's what YouTube comments exist for. Well, maybe not entirely, but they're very much a means and a platform, as tediously monitored as it is, where you could just go apeshit, lose your mind. Enjoy this feature while you can. But the Carol fans typically try to guilt me into stop making these videos and feel their feelings in the hopes that I will leave Carol alone. Which, considering my channel, considering I tend to get far more grief from Jim's fans than all this whining going on, I find it rather hysterical that they think I'm going to stop. Typically I try to be cool with Metokur's fans because arguing with an anon is a fruitless endeavor. Someone shows up with a faceless account with no content attached to any kind of social media, and I want to be clear, there are plenty of people who watch Mr. Metokur that do plenty of things. But the people who typically show up, I tend to believe aren't on their main accounts. And today, believe me, our little yiffer here will have wished he had done the same. I was baffled that a furry was going to try and get uppity with me of all things. Quoting Jim of all people, I simply said, "Hey, remember when Jim said in stream that bronies are mostly just annoying and furries are the worst? I mean, we can't argue with Daddy Jim." Here, let's play that clip now.
Your ass out of the fire, didn't they? I mean, for the longest time, the internet fucking hated furries. They would insert themselves everywhere. They would talk about the disgusting shit they were into. And pretty much everyone just outright fucking hated them. And it was like that for years, like half a decade of just shitting on furries. Everybody did it. Something Awful did it. 4chan did it. Everybody fucking did it. E-Bombs World, Gaia Online, home of the biggest weebs on earth, would shit on furries on a regular occasion. But then along come the bronies. And they're not really even into the fucked up shit that you are. They're just so annoying that people kind of lost focus for a while. And so they kind of shifted direction. And once you had that opening, right, once that shadow was cast by the bronies, you slithered on in. And you hit all the fucked up shit you were doing. And then you got more extreme. And you got weirder. You got more open about how weird you were. The diaper fur shit, the zoophilia. Just rubbing it in everybody's.
And typically, I think Metokur's fans would have laughed that off. Maybe not a Kiro fan. Let's have a listen from Commander Wolfe.
See, that's where you're wrong. He doesn't have a problem with all furries and bronies, only the spurgiest of them, like you, making excuses for why you can't appear on his podcast. People calling you out, that you were going to bail, being cucked, creating 1,000 different accounts on YouTube and subbing them on your own channel, uploading videos that you said were allegedly at work, etc. Would you like me to link the video that calls you out on your bullshit?
1,000 accounts. Well, Commander Wolfe, today we're gonna find out why all you needed was to create at least one more different account and you would have got off scot-free. Now, We could keep reading off all this whole tedious thread. It's still probably going to be down below unless Wolfe deletes it. I know I got bored, and I decided to do what Jim would do in this situation when some tard goes up to give him a hard time. I just went to his channel, and you know what I saw? Just from the banner alone, it appears to be a snake wrapped around a furry, and the snake's mouth is dripping. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that this guy is a vorophile. Now, some of you guys are going, gee, Anthony, that's not really a big reveal. Still, I do think it's kind of a big backfire, and I think after old Commander here got busted, he might have just shut up and fucked off. But instead, we got this. Him.
I don't fuck or kill animals. Don't you ever compare me to that disgusting degenerate. I will not stand there and take this kind of shit. I don't follow Kiro, nor was I ever in that group. My opinion is that all those people deserve capital punishment for what they did, raping not only their dogs, but kids as well, and sharing it. I don't do any of that. You want to dig yourself a deeper hole? Then go ahead. But if you want to drag me down with you, you've got another thing coming.
Did you know that Commander Wolfe posted his kink list on Fur Affinity? I actually gave him a chance. I gave him a chance to have a sit-down, polite conversation on Sunday. I didn't tell him I had found this, but I did say I had found something. And his smug response was,
I have nothing to hide on YouTube.
And perhaps not. There's about 74 videos up on this channel. At a glance, they look mostly like furry cons, but let's look at some of my concerns. Let's look at the fetish list. What's that second word on the kink list? Maws. Where have I heard that, Maws? I could swear I've heard that somewhere before.
It's like kind of exasperate here. I'm like, okay, so why would someone do this to you? Why would someone make up all these logs, go through the arduous task of rewriting, not just writing?
Now I know what you're thinking, FNGR, you're cheating. He clearly means drawn. Well, hold up a minute, let's see. Feralit's right here at the bottom of his kink list. I think third from the bottom. Again, I could see a couple of furry people blowing a gasket up there in the front row. FNGR, you could have drawn, feral, animal art. And if that's all you have here, I am hitting downvote. I am unsubscribing. I am unpatroning. And I am off now to shit talk you on Twitter. And I'll be honest, if that's all this was, two jackasses having it out, which is how this all started, I'd agree. It would be a bit tacky. I would have been able to hide behind the fact that, well, Jim, didn't he shit talk this sort of thing? Well, if I really wanted to be more empathetic to Jim's stance, I'd end up asking, what the fuck is plant milk? Does that mean that Commander Wolfe is into soy milk? Probably means something worse. But let's get back to the feral point, shall we? Here is a retweet from Commander Wolfe. Fascinating. It's a tweet describing a snake's mouth, its heat and texture, a real snake's mouth. And I quote, it's fascinating. Where have I heard that before?
So the one thing is, according to Nelazar, you have a soft interest in zoo. Is that true?
Okay, so I have an interest in the artwork. I thought the artwork was always fascinating and
extent, or rather the idea of having it turns me away. However, fetishes are things that infinitely fascinate me, as I find it to be interesting to see where the weird of the world begins and how far it goes.
Now, in Kiro and Doodle's case, that was code for I jerk off to it. It's in your kink list, Commander Wolfe. You're intrigued, perhaps I dare say tantalized. You clearly wanted me to go the gym route. You know what, FNGR, I'm sick and tired of you. And I could see another hand up in the front row. Perhaps a concerned furry going, you know what, FNGR, I'm sick and tired of your mental gymnastics. You're jaded. I need more. And more I do have. Here is a picture of the female cub from The Lion King, hypnotized, retweeted from Commander Wolfe. And correct me if I'm wrong. That Simba in the background is the younger version. Some might call it the cub version. By all means, comment down below if I'm not playing fair. This serene, blissful, euphoric state on the younger character's face, some might suggest it's orgasmic. Okay, maybe that's a strong word. Sexually stimulated. Kind of vaguely reminds me of a Higo. That's for all you weebs out there, the orgasm fucked silly face. I want to state for the record, I don't hate furries. I don't hate hypnotism. In fact, as for Kiro's kinks, I don't recall that he had cub among them. As for Commander Wolfe, it's at least possible on some level, some might argue you're worse. Now, whether lusting over an imaginary young character is worse than having sex with an IRL dog, I'd still put the allegations against Kuro in the lead, but I'd still put you both in the same ballpark. And no, class, that isn't the diamond, so to speak. That isn't the major payoff that I was alluding to earlier. And I want to remind everyone, this is someone who easily could have flown under the radar if he didn't go looking for a fight. There's a journal entry from his fur affinity called Weighing on My Conscience. Whatever could this be? I'll bet you anything that Commander Wolfe went into an ass ball and is hugging his knees hard, biting his lips. I'm betting he's feeling the shakes, the overwhelming feeling of the walls closing in little bit by bit, because today, class, we're here now at the payoff. Weighing on my conscience.
I won't go too much into details, nor will I mention the party members involved. So that it happened in a chat room last week, where it started off as a civil discussion about a touchy subject. But then as things continued, I goofed and said something that made sound completely ignorant, and I got off some serious flack for it. Seeing as how some were upset, I decided to avoid that chat room for a week and let things settle down for a bit. Then another issue occurred, where a friend who needed a place to stay for the night came to my place. And it's important to note this person gets crabby at times, and I occasionally forget sometimes because he doesn't really crash at my place that often. And on top of all that, the New York schedule had me so beat that day before that I was tired. I didn't realize I left my laptop open, and this person thought it would be funny to joke around and decided to leave some messages that made people think goodness knows what. I saw what he was doing and took the laptop and found a place that I can avoid him messing with my laptop. I wrote to apologize for the inconvenience, but then I was met with people who didn't believe me. That was what I got as a response.
Right. It has been a long time since I've seen someone try to pull, someone took my laptop and whatever embarrassing thing I just said wasn't actually from me excuse. Kudos. I mean, it still didn't work, but kudos for trying.
Another person verbally didn't believe me either, but he was more neutral about it and compared it to the person who left the 2 messages above. He then said this.
It matters to me because, good grief, either he has to think we're idiots for that excuse to hold any water, or he has to be like, what, 12?
I felt insulted and hurt at the same time, but I thought it would be best not to retaliate. But I don't know if this person is just cynical towards everyone on the internet or just me, because ever since that touchy subject was discussed a week before, I still can't seem to shake it, and I'm not really sure what they want me to do to fix it. But as I've said before, I made a mistake. If I could turn back the clock, believe me, I would. And you know what? Whether you believe me or not, it's not like I tried to get people to have an impression on me. I don't know, maybe I'm overacting, but it weighed heavily on my conscience. And if those people ever come across this journal, and you know who you are, and you know who you are if you do, I don't think you guys are bad people. But I'd like to know how you assumed I was coming up with an excuse that a mere child made something before. And that if you wanted to say something witty, you probably could have been less hostile with it. That said, I'm going to call it a night and try to sleep it off like it was a bad nightmare. On a lighter note, I've got 11 more days until I go to my first furry convention, so I'm stoked about that. Night, guys. Wolfie.
Well, that's a mouthful. It's speculation time. Commander Wolfe never said what was said or posted. It could literally have been anything. But there is a way to narrow that down, Commander Wolfe, for better or for worse as a self-professed in-your-face vorophile. Okay, I could easily get sidetracked here and go for the low-hanging fruit. But there's something far riper, far more important at the top of the tree. If Commander Wolfe isn't concerned at all of someone needling him or chiding him for being into vor, what could have possibly freaked this guy out? Let's do worst case scenario first. Did your friends post some cub art, or perhaps they had you flirting with some little kid? Did your alleged friends, who may or may not exist, proposition a child online? I did offer to talk to you about this, Except you decided to go off airsofting, and then you said the next week that you were going to be busy the whole time. So here we are. Now, alternatively, I've noticed on your Twitter, it lists you as heterosexual. It is possible, perhaps your friends made you post a bunch of gay images on social media, and you're selectively insecure. That's possible. Maybe they upvoted a bunch of PewDiePie videos. Maybe you had a bunch of hearts on a bunch of Sargon of Akkad tweets. There's literally 100 different things that this could be. And maybe, just maybe, you're some internet tough guy, despite giving me a hard time for not wanting to go one-on-one with Jim, didn't have the marbles to talk to me. Maybe you turned into a shitty person after your friends cut you off. Maybe, just maybe, in the realm of possibility, you're crippling, fucking insecure. Maybe you shouldn't go up to a goddamn drama channel and try and pick a fight when your account is hooked up to what may well be your deepest, darkest secrets. Call me crazy. Maybe you're a guy who has an unhealthy fixation on snakes online that is totally separate from his fetish list. But next time you come into someone's house and assume the worst and bark like some junkyard dog, don't be pissed off when they take you off to the vet to get fixed. Kiro, thank you. Fuck you. Bye.